and welcome to the Choose Love podcast, a show that chronicles the extraordinary love of ordinary people. Our hope is that these stories will help inspire us all to #ChooseLove. The podcast is presented by Ellen Adair, your digital bridesmaid. We're here to take your squad moments to the next level and help curate your bridal style so that you can focus on love. My name is Steve Hayton, and I will be your host. So I'm here today with Crystal and Ramsey. We're going to be talking about their love story. Hi to the both of you.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Ramsey Chapin. We're both out here based in San Francisco, but I'm originally from DC, actually. We are a college sweetheart couple, basically. So we're now both 27, but we met as sophomores in college.
He's an amazing internet entrepreneur.
People say I'm tall, but I'm not really. I'm just 6'6", so it's not terribly tall.
He's tall, he's dark, he's handsome, he's smart, and we live together in San Francisco now. We have lived in San Francisco together since 2013.
You just say when we graduated college, so 2013.
Yeah, we met when we were 19 and we're 27 now, and we'll be getting married on 2 months after my 28th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you would have just turned 28.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone keeps asking us why it's taken us so long to get engaged, or at least everyone asking me that. But, 3 years of that were in college, so it didn't really count.
Mm-hmm.
And how about you?
Me, so I grew up in San Francisco, and I worked in tech for a couple of years. And then I pivoted myself into a media career where I was a freelance host and producer for a local TV show. And most of my days now are actually filming YouTube videos to educate young women about the skills I've picked up working in media. Public speaking, standing, presentation skills. I used to be a coach in public speaking as well. My unique part of my background, similar to Ramsey being a D1 varsity athlete. Did we mention that he's a track star too? He can run a mile in about 4 minutes.
Wow.
I figured we were going to bury that in the story, but basically I got burned out in college after running a bunch, and that's when we met. But yeah, so the first 2 years I ran at Stanford.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a really, really fast runner, and so that keeps me in shape.
So you're a giant and you're fast.
It's kind of weird. I was by far the tallest runner in, I think, D1, actually.
Wow.
We'd line up in the starting line, and it would be kind of like 5'8", 5'9", 6'1", 5'8", 5'9", and then me.
So
You're the complete opposite of me. I am short and slow. You're like an entire foot taller than me.
So he's the track star, and then I competed in beauty pageants. So I started when I was 15, and then I made it all the way to runner-up to Miss America. So all of those skills from being a public speaker, from doing appearances, from courting sponsors, and doing these contests has given me a bunch of life skills that I'm releasing to the world.
You two are a bit of a power couple then.
I don't think we're a power couple, but I'd say we make each other better, and we have a lot in common. We both like to apply ourselves. We like to win.
We don't mind when each other works a lot, I think helps.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's so cool. How did you meet? You met in college.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us a bit about that.
As I mentioned, it ties into my running, I guess, too. So I ran for about 2 years at Stanford. Normally if you play basketball, if you play football or sailing or rowing, whatever, you have one quote-unquote in-season time when you're actually competing. I had 3. So it was a bit rough. And so I walked into the office one day in sophomore year in January, told my coach I was quitting. He wouldn't let me for about 5 days, but I did. And then I think the very next day, I called up my friends and I was like, basically, woo, I'm free. And I was sitting there kind of doing the normal college thing, as Crystal would say, sitting on a giant blue beanbag.
It was a huge beanbag.
It was enormous.
It was like it's the Vesuvian man was lying on the ground and then like put on a pizza turner.
Yeah.
That was the circumference of this enormous blue beanbag.
It was basically the dorm room.
It took up the entire dorm room.
Yep. And so long story short, that night we got to talking, went to a place called French House, which is just a local place on campus. And it was one of those classic, super packed, standing room only parties. And we somehow started talking and found our way to a corner and talked for 4 hours, basically the entire time. We got to know each other, didn't want to leave. And I'll let Crystal tell that side of the story, but apparently she wanted me to give her sweater or something like that to, basically kind of see each other again. But the funny part about that was we didn't. So 6 months went by before we talked again, actually. And so it was that summer. So 6 months later, there's one place on campus where you can live during the summer that isn't obscenely expensive. Turns out it's a frat house because they actually own their own house. And so you have to kind of know someone and get in, you get randomly picked and all this stuff. It turns out we got randomly selected to live right next to each other.
Okay.
And that's really kind of how we get, when we really were together and got to know each other. So from that summer onwards.
And so, Crystal, do you see it the same way? Have you got your own sort of take?
Oh, totally. I find it super fascinating that when you ask the story, he tells you the facts. I'm going to tell you about the feelings.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Although I do find it funny how she really likes to leave out the 6 month part. And she's like, yeah, we just picked up right where we met.
We kind of picked up right where we left off. Yeah. I mean, we weren't dating for those 6 months, but we were aware of each other and that spark had already happened.
Yes.
So let's say Ramsey put the structure together. I'm going to fill it in with some color. He's absolutely right. Everything he said was correct. And I agree with your version. The thing that I remember was the very first night we had met, I was already really excited that I had potentially found someone who was just intriguing. Although when I think you're 19, you're not really thinking about marriage or going steady or a real relationship. You really are just driven by that gut instinct and that yearning to just want to see them again. And it's almost this childlike, very pure phenomenon that I don't even know has a name for it. It's just this like nascent budding interest that can happen with new friends as well. It's not completely platonic necessarily. In this case, it was like more platonic and like slightly romantic. And I told my college roommate at the time, and she says, "Oh no, not Ramsey." And I said, What's wrong? Ramsey had been pseudo dating her former roommate. So like the same roommate was now had me as a roommate now. And now it was like, a rotating door. Like, can't get rid of Ramsey.
Yeah, there are many layers of the story. That was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
So literally the same roommate, just totally by chance.
But she didn't say no, not Ramsey, because she didn't like him. I think it was more so she was caught between the loyalty of two different friends.
She was tired of seeing me, basically, is what it was.
Yeah, but I remember that night when we first talked, it was like the fastest 4 hours of my life. It was just super interesting. We talked about everything, right? Family, religion, values, what your parents did, vacations you went on as a child, classes, food. We talked about so many different topics, and it was so fluid. It just felt like it was going from one to another.
Talked about your dad as an entrepreneur. We talked about everything.
Yeah, I really do think that like the telltale sign of a budding relationship is just how fluid those early conversations are. If they just really roll off the tongue, there's something special there. And I felt that with you right away. So after that early conversation, he walked me back to the dorm. He did give me his blue sweater to wear on the walk home because it was a little chilly. And then I debated not giving it back to him so that I had an excuse to see him again. But I thought that was shady, so I took off his sweater and gave it back to him and said bye.
I think that was smart. I would have done that.
I mean, I didn't want him to think I was selfish. Like, okay, I just met this girl. She thinks that she's entitled to my stuff. I don't like her anymore. I didn't want to be disrespectful.
I would have respected the hustle. Definitely respected.
You would have respected the hustle?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Be like, give you a hug. Bye.
Yeah.
See ya. I was half expecting for you to invite me to keep it.
Well, I remember telling my roommate at the time afterwards that I liked you a lot, but I didn't think you liked me, even after us talking that long.
What made you think that? Did I play hard to get?
You were stone cold. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It was just...
Thanks for walking me back. Bye.
Yeah, bye. I don't remember, but no, it was a good night. And like you said, we were 19, so we were just doing whatever.
Yeah, I think the moment I really knew I liked you was that summer when you were showing me pictures of your family.
Yeah.
And I could see the love in which you were raised and how close you were to your family and your two brothers and all of the smiling faces through years of different memories. I just knew that you had come from such a place of love and consideration and warmth that I just knew you were a good person. It's weird. It's almost like you know that you see a fruit tree and you're like, oh, the fruit tree's gonna be really like the fruit from this tree is gonna be really sweet. You just know, right? Like the leaves are big and green, the trunk is really solid, well positioned on the landscape. You're like, oh, there's no way these apples aren't gonna be the best freaking apples from this orchard. That's kind of how I felt.
That's a good metaphor. I took away that on a fruit tree though. So.
Well, I knew that you were. I knew you were already good. I just was like, it went from a yes to a hell yes. Once I heard you talk about your family.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. I remember everything that night. But it wasn't really that night. It was kind of the whole summer. Like the whole summer was just, really when we got together. So it was 2+ months, and we were living basically together the entire time with a bunch of our friends, and everyone was working and would come back and spend a lot of time. And we started spending a lot of time.
Yeah. There was one night where we were talking on the balcony with me and 3 guys. Ramsey was one of them. And I think it started out with like me and 5 guys. We were just all friends. And then as the night went on, people started peeling away to go to bed. And
there was this one guy. I think Crystal and I both were at that point where we knew we liked each other, but hadn't explicitly said anything. But we were up. I mean, we basically were in like a marathon sprint with this one guy. We were both just trying to kind of peel off time for ourselves. And there was this guy that just would not go to sleep. He was up with us until I think 5 or 6 a.m. So,
the runner-up was pretty good. He stayed with us till like
3. Yeah, and we were very motivated, but they were just as motivated. It was impressive.
You know, I'm going to be interviewing him next.
Yeah, seriously. That makes me think about the fact we need to go find him.
So such a great guy.
Such a great guy.
He was making like Wookiee sounds from Star Wars.
Just to go backwards just for 1 second. So Crystal was saying how you sort of felt like you were the one when you were talking about family.
Mm-hmm.
When was that moment for you?
So we were talking about this the other day, and I don't think there was one specific kind of aha or light bulb moment, but I do remember that summer. Do you remember when we went up to Sierra Camp different times? So Sierra Camp is a thing at Stanford where it's basically up kind of like a special section of Lake Tahoe that alumni go up to. But a lot of our friends were actually counselors, so they would whisk us up there for weekends. But Crystal and I went at different weekends with different friends. And so I remember when I was kind of like game on it, I really liked her when she was texting me from Sierra Camp, which she had like 1 bar of service, and I was sitting in the middle of a party, and I was around all my friends, and I was just trying to talk to her, and she, as she told me later, was sitting in the middle of a catamaran with the phone way up to where she could get 1 bar in order to talk to me the rest of the night. And I think, going back, I don't know if there was a light bulb moment, but I distinctly remember sitting in the middle of the frat house, everyone running around me, and I'm just like, game on. This is it. So
I was in a catamaran in the middle of the lake, holding my phone up, like Rafiki and Simba in The Lion King, like waiting for the bars to show up.
Yeah.
So that my message would go through.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's modernity, right?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, the modern showing of love is being in the middle of the mountains and going to seek that 1 bar.
So you said at the beginning that people say to you, "Why did it take so long to propose?"
Yeah.
So why did it take so long to propose?
Good question. Well, you take out 3 of those from college, right? And then I think for us, you said at the beginning, you said power couple. I don't think it was necessarily power couple for us, but I do think that for a while we just said, we're together. We're just really focused on our careers right now. So I don't think it really occurred to us. I think we were just kind of very focused on We both assumed, I think, in our heads, and not in a bad way. I think we just both knew it was going to happen, and there wasn't any urgency about it. I think the urgency was more, let's build a foundation for ourselves, as we're kind of building our relationship into this one thing, but also, building that foundation very practically together as well. So, I don't know. What do you think?
I might look at marriage a little bit differently. I have very, very strong feminist mentors in my life, and I always have been told that you really want to know when the person is right before you marry them, because marriage is a huge deal, and it should not be a decision made in the throes of emotion. It should really be a wise decision that you take into consideration every aspect of your life, your goals, what you've done, personality, everything. It's been built up as like this huge thing in my head. And so I'm very honest. I think I was kind of afraid for a while. It just seemed like such a big, nearly irreversible decision. And I just felt like Ramsey was the right one. So there was really no rush. I did feel a little bit like it was going to be a next level commitment that I hesitated around a little bit, just because I felt like when you're single and you're unmarried, you have so many more options. Like it was this idea in my head that not being married broadened your horizon and allowed you to travel more, gave you more flexibility. And the irony of it was, we've basically been a married couple, and being with you but not married and being able to do all those things actually turned that model for me upside down. It said, if you're with the right person, you can still do everything that you want to do. You can still have a very broad horizon. You can still have the life you want and do the things you want to do. But I guess getting married now means you have life insurance and health insurance, and you can file your taxes together. So in a sense, it's like my belief on that has evolved over the last few years.
It's interesting that you're talking about how you looked at life and how opportunities were going to come your way and what you were going to be able to do. I've had the same experience. Even after marriage, I find that now I'm actually capable of doing a lot more than I was when I was on my own, because I'm with someone who complements me and my skill set. It's great seeing you two before you get married, because I feel like I know what's coming, and I find it quite funny, because I know that the second you get married, you're going to get hit with what I got hit with, which was, okay, let's see some grandchildren.
Oh, yeah. It's already happening.
It's already happening. Wow, that's amazing.
Already happening.
Oh, you want to hear how next level it is?
Go on.
I don't know if my parents will ever listen to this podcast, but
okay, just be honest. Just one day they'll look back and laugh.
So my parents are empty nesters. And Crystal mentioned I have two young brothers. The youngest brother is now in college, so he left a couple years ago, and so my parents pulled the opposite empty nester move. So normally, the last kid moves out of the house and we downsize and move closer to the city or in the city. My parents completely did the opposite and moved out of the city, further out of the city, into a bigger house, and gave us the tour for the first time, both of us, Crystal and I. And he takes us upstairs and he goes, look, there's a floor up here. Look, a hidden nook. And he says, do you know what we call it? And I said, no. And he said, it's the grandkids nook. And so we both looked at each other like, right. So
there were already toys there.
There were already toys. So
wow.
They designed the entire house around grandkids, which is great. It's awesome. And we totally get it and we love it, but it's very funny how it happens. It happens quickly.
That's intense.
Oh, yeah.
I would freak out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Chinese American, and so I grew up with an understanding that there are just certain obligations and certain cultural expectations, and having children is definitely one of them. Like, It's actually seen as very selfish if you do not have children. It's like you got grandparents saying or parents who are saying, how dare you rob me of my title of grandparent? And then the person inside my head says, well, you should have had more kids then, because then you'd have more people to have kids with, right? You'd have more splits down the line, right?
Yeah. Well, it goes back to what you said before. I think family matters to both of us. And, we just had to get there.
Yeah, the thing about marriage I'm noticing is there really are no rules. And if we were truly left to our own devices, I think that we would probably do a really small wedding. I mean, I would just do an elopement, frankly, and then put that money towards a house or put that money towards something super practical. But you've helped me realize that having weddings and doing these traditions and going through all of this stuff is actually quite fun. And in a sense, it's like a rite of passage. And our marriage is going to bring joy to a lot of other people, mostly our parents and our families. So we can't rob them of that.
Well, there's another piece I think too, which is we have a lot of very close friends from different sides of our lives. Like you have pageant friends, I have track friends, we have a lot of mutual Stanford friends. Now we have more friends outside of that. We obviously still have a lot of family too. And our wedding will be moderate size, about 200 people. We're having two basically. We're having a East Coast and West Coast. So it'll be about 200 and then 300. And in both cases, to me, I think the biggest piece is that it's one of the only times in your life where you have an excuse to get everyone in one place.
That's not a funeral.
That's not a funeral. I said one of them. I didn't say that. Yes, to qualify, a funeral counts. Graduation. What is it? Wedding, graduation, funeral?
Wedding, graduations, and funerals.
Yeah, but it's a happy occasion to get everyone in one place because it's really funny. I think we will spend a lot of time. I know my parents do this too, where you spend time with someone and you're always telling or tying in stories from someone else in your life, and it's kind of like everyone gets to put those pieces together with you. So I don't know. I think that's worth it.
It's like one giant Venn diagram.
Yeah.
In real life.
In one place.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like you're the gym teacher, you're the ballet teacher, you're the neighbor, you're the brother-in-law. Oh,
you got to look at it. Yep.
It's like all these epiphanies happening everywhere.
Yeah.
At the reception.
Mind's blown all over the place.
So you're getting married in October.
Mm-hmm.
How the preparations for that going?
They're going really well. Ramsey's parents are so on top of they're super responsive to emails. They have really good taste. The East Coast wedding is sort of something that they're kind of hosting primarily. And then my mother and my father are hosting the West Coast Chinese banquet. So it's going really well. I actually have to send out invites for a West Coast wedding.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's just another one of the 14 to-do lists.
Well, I get in trouble. It's really funny. I get a visceral reaction from every man in the room whenever I say this. But I said last night, it's actually pretty easy. I don't know if it's because we started well in advance. Yeah, see, you had that reaction too. Everyone goes, wow, I can't believe you said that. Crystal agrees with me. I think we have a
good planner.
So one key was wedding planner. So we don't have to worry about staying on time. She just has us make decisions. So that's a huge one, obviously, and a very big luxury. So that makes it a lot easier. Although I still think necessary just because we're in San Francisco and it's happening in Florida. So having someone on site is huge. Remotely researching all different kinds of vendors is probably not a good idea.
No.
To make that a lot harder.
If you think of it like project management, you just need to make decisions.
Yeah.
If you're lengthening that funnel and you're evaluating 45 vendors when you need to decide on one, you're just making life harder on yourself.
Yep.
So I think I'm very flexible. I feel like as long as Ramsey's mom approves, it's not going to be bad. That's really
They have good taste.
They have really good taste. So
they're also expert party planners at this point.
They're so good. So that's why it's been easy because we don't look at 50 vendors. We literally look at maybe 2 or the most I've looked at for a single service is 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the photographer. Everything else has just been like, oh, you worked with them? Yep. Oh, you worked with them? Yep. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Yep. Okay. Check that box.
Planner has a short list. So that's been really, really huge.
You just have to go with someone you trust.
Yeah. I think it turns the stress for us would be unknown unknowns. You only plan a wedding once, and if you screw up, then it cascades to the day of, especially timeline-wise. So turning those into known unknowns and just having her put it in front of us and make decisions makes it easy. So, for example, one piece of stress for Crystal, I think recently was your wedding dress because that wasn't something she could help you with, or anyone else could help you with. You had to do it all the way, and so
I went out and bought one.
You just freaking owned it and took 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean that's fun, but it's an inverse U curve. Like there's a sweet spot of a number of wedding dresses. You're like, oh, this is fun. I think I know what I want. But once you go over that number, you are just digging yourself into a hole.
You're
like,
done.
oh, do I want lace? Oh, do I want satin? Oh, do I want sleeves? Oh, but I like this Inez de Santo. Oh, but the one that Berta is just, oh, but the second, like, no! Don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to make life hard on yourself. Don't do that. Yeah.
Have you started to think about what happens after the wedding? Will there be any change?
It's a very good question.
You have health insurance.
That's a very good question. I think so. Nice way to tie this all back, circle it all back to the very beginning. So, like we said, I'm running a business. Crystal's also running a business, and both of them are in stages where we have small teams, and they're both going very well, but they're also just starting to take off. And so, we've talked about this a little bit, but I see all of it converging into one. So, for example, we're living in this apartment right now in San Francisco. It's great. Guess when our lease is up? In October. With the wedding, and kind of timeline wise, I can see both of our, we both have big things coming up around September, October, kind of fall time frame for our businesses and things like that. So I kind of, have a feeling that things are really converging, and we're gonna have to put our heads down and figure that out. But at the same time, like we talked about before, that's just more normal. So that's the new normal. I don't think there's any massive plans to change anything because we get married. I think we're just we're keeping our heads down and making sure things go well, and now we'll do it married. So
I also will admit I'm a lot less afraid to get married because a lot of my older friends have gotten married and they're still cool.
They're not nothing massive as they don't have horns now or anything like that.
Yeah, well, it's just as a kid you're like, oh, they're married, like, oh, they're so like stuffy, and they're like so official, and then the kids come and they're just always stressed out, like, it looks super fun. But now that I'm entering that stage, I know that the ones who aren't having fun, it's not because of marriage or the fault of having conceived children. It's usually something else. So I conflated marriage and motherhood with some of those other factors, and they're separate. Yeah, people can be really happy independently.
Gotta work in your relationship.
Yeah, I guess that's the most important thing. Is this whole process it's like solidified our bond, so that no matter what happens in life, like we'll handle it together. Yeah,
so that's just our style.
Yeah, I mean, I just know I am marrying you. I'm marrying the you that life happens to. So obviously I mean, change is inevitable, right? I'm going to get older. Everything's going to start sagging in a couple of decades. You're not going to be able to run a 4-minute mile.
Still can't now, but I won't be able to run a 5-minute mile.
You won't be able to run a 5-minute mile in a few years, right? Like, change is inevitable. But I think where marriage is just a really nice safety net is, first of all, I think admitting that vulnerability is like something I would not have done a couple years ago. But having that safety net is just, it's nice because it goes both ways. If something happens to you, I'm there for you no matter what. If something happens to me, I know you have my back, right?
Yeah. Totally.
So
you two are in the right place. It's so interesting to watch, and I maybe we can do this again, like after you get married, and see how it went.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy. Yeah, we'll be happy to hop on and go, everything has changed. We were totally wrong.
Everything's changed. The island blew up, Steve.
That's it.
This is my arm. I mean, something is going to go wrong the day of the wedding.
Absolutely.
I just know it. Someone's going to forget their shoes. Some vendor's going to drop the ball. Someone's going to, I hope this doesn't happen, but someone might get fed something that they can't eat because of allergies. It's just going to happen. There are too many factors there for all of them to go off without a hitch. It's too much. And we've never rehearsed it. Weddings aren't something you rehearse. So I think I'm just mentally okay with whatever's going to happen as long as no one dies.
That is definitely the right place to be.
Yeah.
That's definitely the right place to be. If you can come to peace with that now, then you'll be great, because things will go wrong.
Should we do bingo? Should we do wedding mistake bingo?
Wait,
Like let's write down all the things that could possibly happen, and then we'll just start crossing them off throughout the day.
Yeah, catastrophe bingo.
Catastrophe bingo. Or wait, no, it should be like snafu bingo, because it's probably not going to be. There might be one catastrophe, but I think there will be a couple of snafus.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. I think I think for me, as long as we get everyone in one place, I know we may differ on this a little bit, but even if stuff goes wrong in ceremony or with people or whatever, I think we're getting people in one place. It's going to be beautiful. It's a very special place for us, Amelia Island, Florida. It's a little barrier island, northeast of Jacksonville. My mom's been going there since she was a kid. My grandparents, both sides of my grandparents live there. Since we've been together so long, we've been going there for a real long time, and it's a special place and beautiful. So it's hard not to be grateful that we're even going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, everything that you're doing, in that sort of physical realm, is just the backdrop for the memories that you're going to create. And it's obviously that day is symbolizing something much, much greater than the day.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we'll bring this episode to an end. I'd like to thank Crystal and Ramsey for taking the time to talk to me, and I wish them all the very best with their wedding in October. If you enjoyed the podcast, then please, 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 please share it with your friends and family.